More Australians than ever are online and searching. The majority of them are using social media. But how do you reach the 1.8 million users that are not? Welcome to Marketing Without Social Media. I'm Fahey from Business Station as part of the Digital Solutions Program. And today I'm going to be taking you through how to reach the 1.8 million Australians that are not on social media, along with the 20 or so million that are on social media. Including in this workshop, I'm going to be teaching you how to reach the 2.2 million Australians, married or not, that are using dating apps, along with all other apps. More Australians discover a brand through Google search than anywhere else. You're going to be learning all these things today in our workshop. I'm going to be covering Google My Business, AdWords, digital media buying, including billboards, and advertising on apps. This workshop is brought to you by Business Station and AusIndustry under the Digital Solutions Program. So a little bit about me first. I've been marketing since 2008. A lot of my marketing time and experience has been spent on Facebook, but I've also covered all sorts of platforms. I've advertised on everything from the TV to the newspaper, digital billboards, and everything in between. Any opportunity that can be to make a dollar, I've found a way, pushing the businesses and the brands that I work with forward in the spotlight. So to get started today, if you do have a question, I know most of you, given the time of year, are probably going to be watching this later online. You can access this workshop webinar, online after the event. If you do have a question during the webinar, you can use the chat functions below in your Zoom window. If you do have a question afterwards, do feel free to get in touch with me at Business Station. I'll do my best to answer. And if you feel like you need some direct advice for your business, keep in mind that everything we're talking about today is very general in nature. You can scan this QR code. This QR code will link you straight to the Business Station website, where for $44, you can sign up for our Digital Solutions Program. You get 3 hours of one-to-one advice, where I can be your advisor, and 4 hours of structured group learning through our workshop series. So pretty good value for $44. Well, let's get started. So you're in business and you want to be found. Most people, especially if it's a need-based business, the two types of businesses being want-based, I see something, I want it, I need something, I'm going to search for it, turn to Google. Let's say we are chasing a mechanic, and I'm going to share my screen for you now. We're going to go into here and we're going to type in something like mechanic Rockhampton. I'm based in the regional city of Queensland, Rockhampton, so that's what I'd search. Straight off the bat, I have a few Google AdWords. They come up first, followed by this listing here. This section here is called Google My Business. As a business, this costs you nothing to use, just some time. Underneath that, we have all our website listings. So to get our business listed in this section, the Google My Business area, what we have to do is we have to go onto Google My Business. It's a free tool developed by Google. We click on it, it's going to bring us into this section where we sign in, use your Google profile, or manage now. When you initially sign in the first time, you're going to land on this section here. So you're going to type in your business name. Let's say mine's Williams Mechanical. It's going to ask me what my business is. I'm a mechanic. It's going to go on to, do I have a physical location? I'm a mobile mechanic, so that could be a no. Will then ask me, that's new. Yes, I am a mechanic. So I've run into a problem. If I'm a mobile mechanic, I don't have a physical location. So let's try mobile mechanic. That's okay. In this situation, we would change it after the fact. So I'm going to go with mechanic. We have a physical location. Going to ask us for the address. I like that. I really do. I have no idea what the zip code is in New York. Of course, it'd be something simple like that. Cool. It's picked our location, and we go to the next step. I'm having a little difficulty with. But you choose your location, then it'd go on to ask you the opening hours, it'd go on to ask you your business description, and eventually what's going to happen is you're going to end up with a listing that looks like this. You end up on your homepage here. So in this case, it's for a hairdresser that I'm using for the example today. In the info section, this is where you can change your service location. So your physical address and your service area. Your service area is where you'd list location like your city or the region that you'd service. Underneath that, we have our opening hours, pretty generic. You have your more hours, so it could be that, you have for brunch, dinner, etc. Then underneath here, you have your special hours. So like most of us, we're probably going to be closed on Christmas Day. Anytime you make a change to your profile, like I've just done there, it lets Google My Business know that this profile is up to date. So you get a little boost in your profile because it's up to date information. So I recommend going through and updating your opening hours when you can. Underneath that, we have things like your phone number, your website, appointment links, menu links, if you're a restaurant. You have things like your services and what you do. So if I click on that, as you can see, it's got a list of services, and then this orange section here is what has been suggested by outside sources. So you can view the updates or accept changes. I'm not going to modify that. Underneath that, we have attributes about the business. So things like wheelchair accessible entrance, identifies as women-owned, and those sort of things. Again, this gives a boost to the profile when we update it. Underneath that, you finally have information about the description of the business, and then you have your opening date. So I want to make sure that when you go through, you make sure all this information is up to date. Next to that, we have reviews. They're pretty straightforward. Now, I recommend that you generally respond to a review. If you get a negative review, the best response for it is, "Hello, Augustine. I'm sorry that you've had this negative experience in our business. Can you please give us a call on insert number so we can better identify how to resolve this in future?" A response like that, where you're taking it offline, reduces any chance of a flame war, but also allows you a chance to learn what the problem was. I know in this particular case, this business struggles with the fact there's another business in France with the exact same name that isn't a very good business. And based on the name of this person, I'd say he's probably French. Underneath that, services, very important one. If you accept these changes, you'll get the option to be able to click on each of these different services that you have here and give more detail. So for instance, under spray tans, you can pick down the type of spray tanning you do and details on the type of tanning that you do. Next up from that, photos. I recommend updating your photos regularly. As you can see, this business hasn't updated for 25 weeks now. And you have a few different categories that you can put up. Interior, exterior, work, team, so forth. That just gives people an idea of what the business is like. The final thing I'm going to show you, and this is probably the most powerful, is the insights. Inside the insights, you can see how people are discovering your business and how many are. If we click on the new profile performance section, we get access to some really, really powerful information. For instance, down here, we can see what searches actually triggered the profile. So you can see for a hairdresser, you got all the sort of standard stuff, you got the brand name. But as we scroll down here, we're going to start to find things that we're not being found for as much as we might want to. For instance, fake tan. In that situation, what you want to do is you want to do more advertising around fake tans. They'll boost your profile up so that more people would see it. It's a very, very easy way to get an understanding of how your profile is being viewed online. One of the other things to take note of is in this section here, you can see how they viewed it. So the majority of people were viewing it on mobile, a few on desktop, a few on Maps, and a few on Google Maps desktop. But the majority of people were definitely finding it through mobile search. So in this case, I'd definitely be gearing this business towards mobile information and mobile pictures. One final thing I'll just quickly show you is if you don't have a website, and I definitely recommend that you do have a website, if you click on the website button down here, then you get the option to have a free Google website, which is basically put together based on the information that you feed into it. So I have sections like posts, we can put up things that are happening in the business. In this situation, this stuff doesn't actually improve your SEO, just to make that clear, but it does give the potential for call to actions like calling now. And you can see how many actions you're getting through the insights button down here. You can see website visits, request directions, and phone calls. So it does seem to spike up and down. Probably over the weekend, it drops off. December the 19th was a Sunday. So it makes sense for this business. Okay, so feeding on from Google My Business, I suppose it'd be worthwhile talking about Google AdWords. Okay, so we're in Google AdWords. Now, when you first go in, you'll have a limited opportunity of what you can select. It's part of the learning phrase of Google. But once you've sort of set up a campaign, once you can come into this section and design the campaign how you'd like. So first up, you have your standard type campaigns, which generally the idea is to lead them through sales, leads, or website traffic. If we say website traffics, we can select the type of format we want. So display ad, a search ad. So if we look back at the initial search we did, Mechanic Rockhampton, you'll see we have these ads here. These are search type ad. And generally when we do search type ads, we have two different formats. We have what we call a short tail and a long tail. So you've got lots of different options on where it can be shown. Ideally, we want to make sure we're shown in Australia or in our local location. So we can select something like Rockhampton. And we're going to enter multiple locations, or we can exclude locations if we want to narrow it down further. We can select our particular audiences, and we can choose our budget. Literally be whatever you want. As you can see, there's definitely lots of options here. In the next section, we can actually put in our keywords. So if you're not sure what words to use, and this is where the short tail and long tail come in, what you can do is you can throw in your website or your service. And as you can see, it's given a selection of keywords we can choose from. And we can delete these, choose ones that we like or don't like, and so forth. Or we can add in our own. Now, there's generally two types of keywords. The first type is a short tail, which can be something like mechanic, or we can use a long tail, something like mechanic for LS motors. A short tail generally has a lot of people trying to purchase it, and a long tail has less people. To get an idea on the volumes, what you can do is you can use the keyword planner. So you can start with keywords, and it'll give you a bunch of suggestions, and it'll tell you roughly how much the bid is to get it to the top of the page. Alternatively, you can throw in a website, and it'll give you suggestions as well. It doesn't have to be your website, it could be your competition's website. Once we're happy with our words, we have this section here. This is where we actually start the design of our ad. So the location we send them to and the various words that are going to come up in this section. You get an idea for how the visual is going to look. We'll give you an idea as well on what it should look like and how well it's going to perform. In this section here, you'll always see the preview once it loads. So it gives you an example of what your ad's going to look like when it eventually comes up. So in this case, farm service manager, they put in digital logbook for farm machinery to increase resale value, OHS limit downtime save. They're using the keyword mechanic Rockhampton. In this suggestion, I would probably fine tune it down to something like tractor mechanic. As you can see, when I put that in, that same business do not come up. So fine tuning down the campaign is going to make it more efficient. That second section, the words you don't want to be found for, are what we call negative keywords. So we go back to our ad group. Once should be able to put negative keywords in here. They seem to have changed ever so slightly since last time I played with it. Nevertheless, once you get it set up, you can definitely add in your negative keywords. Generally, the longer an ad runs as well, the more efficient the ads become. Now, once we've actually created ads all set up the way we want it to, then it's just a simple matter of confirming it in the section here. It will give you a preview. So what I'll do now is I'll just show you that negative ad word. So as you can see, this is a set of negative keywords here for an ad that I'm running the past. So childcare jobs near me and search free to play left on young. So this is probably a set of AdWords I ran for childcare center. If I click on the plus, I can increase and add the negative keywords. So if someone types in this phrase, your ad won't come up, as opposed to in the search term section, where these are the keywords that we want to be found for. So depending on your business, there's definitely words you want to be found for and ones you don't want to be found for. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to set up an ad on an app. Just give me one moment while I get that set up. So once again, we're going to do what we've done in the past is we've gone to a new campaign and we've landed on the screen here. So rather than go a website traffic or one of those ones, what we want to do is, well, we can still do website traffic, but instead of doing a search ad, we're going to use a display ad. Cool thing about a display ad is once we go through each of these different sections here, same as before, we're going to set up where we want to be shown. We've got the option to add targeting through placements. In this placement section here, this is where you can choose where you want the ads to be displayed. So it becomes very, very powerful. So you can advertise, for instance, on YouTube. Now, the reason why you might want to be advertising on YouTube is because YouTube is one of the most used platforms in Australia, with about 78% of all Australians using YouTube, as opposed to Facebook, which has around about 75 to 77%. So advertising on YouTube can be very powerful. One other thing to keep in mind is Facebook, being the second most popular platform in Australia, it commands mostly the over 30-year-olds, as opposed to Google search, which has, and YouTube search, which has users across all demographics and all ages. So what we can do is we can pick out a YouTube video, particular video, or we can pick out a YouTube channel. I'm just trying to think of a YouTube channel. I'm just going to throw one in there randomly. I've used history as my search term, and I'm pretty confident it's going to pick out one or the other. There we go. So we can target the history channel, or history matters, or weird history. So you can actually pick out the YouTube channel that you want to advertise on. But let's say we don't want to advertise on YouTube. We want to advertise on an app or a particular website. But an app, let's focus on one of the more interesting apps. One thing you got to realize is that about 11% of all Australians, whether they're in a relationship or not, are using dating apps. That's about 2.2 million people. The most popular dating app or relationship, friendship finder type app, hookup app, would have to be Tinder. And when you search for it, you're actually going to end up with two types of app. The reason being is that there's one app for Android and one app for Apple users. So you want to be able to advertise on both of them. And you can do that through Google My AdWords once it finishes loading. Any minute now. There we go. So as you see, we have Tinder for the Apple App Store, and we have Tinder for Google Play. So if you want to advertise on it, you would select both of them. The main difference with this is when you go into the ad section and design your ad, it's actually a display ad. So you're displaying a picture. So you're essentially asking people to swipe right on your ad. So you can add images and you can add videos. In this particular case, I designed one ad for Tinder using a picture or a GIF, something that's moving picture. And I designed a different ad for YouTube, making sure that it's less than 30 seconds. That way you get less skips and more brand reach. These steps are pretty much the same whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, or Google AdWords. You essentially just got to add the different pieces and design how it's going to look with your headlines, description, and all your creative text. So that covers how to advertise on the various apps. And there is literally hundreds of options here that you can choose from. And you can even just go as far as to pick different categories of apps. So lots of opportunities to get your brand right in front of your customers in your location. And don't be afraid as well when you're selecting your targeting to add targeting that picks out people based on search terms, topics, or even demographics. It might be that you only want to target females in a particular age range. You can do that. So there's a variety of different options that you can choose from. Something like household income, that's only available in certain countries and definitely not Australia. Okay, let's talk through the final section, which is digital billboard buying. So digital billboards have definitely created a new opportunity. In this particular case, I'm going to be using the KC app. So first step of creating a campaign is we give it a name. We decide when it's going to run for and how long it's going to run for. We set our schedule. So we might say we want to run only on those particular times. We set our budget, so whatever it is, and it's in US dollars because most ad buying is done in US. And finally, we have to choose our boards. So this is the exciting part. So we're going to use, let's use Brisbane as the example. There's definitely ones in regional areas, but we're going to use Brisbane. And it's going to load up all the different boards in the area, including price ranges and types. So you'll see that there's billboards, gas stations, convenience stores, malls, bus shelters, gyms, and doctors' offices as the main selection, but literally hundreds, including like ones on your subway platforms. And I'll bring up all the different locations for you, along with a picture of what they look like. So as we scroll on, we might want to pick out a particular area. We're going to see the different boards. So this one is in a medical center. So it's one on the wall in the doctor's office. This one is at a Jets. And the picture doesn't load, but it's probably one on like a treadmill or so forth. My favorites tend to be the ones at service stations. The reason being is that at a service station, you can't get away from the fact that you cannot have your phone on you and it's talking directly to you. So you tend to be a little bit more attentive than you would be if you were just driving around or working out. So I'm just trying to find a service station board. And I'm just going to go down here and I'm going to select gas stations to bring them up. There we go. So we'll select on this one. And as you can see, it's got two. And these are what the gas station ones look like. They tend to be at BP or Caltex stores. Once again, doesn't seem to bring up the picture. Oh well. So this is the average cost per click, the estimated reach per $1,000 spent. And these are these types of formats. So you can be a static picture or it can be a video. And in this case, this one does not support audio. This is your screen resolution, so the size of the actual imagery and how long your content has to run for, in this case 10 seconds. This one here supports audio. So you can have something like, hey you, yeah you, filling up the car. When was the last time you brought yourself a steak? Go down to Lean's Butchers. It can essentially be whatever you like, but there is a review process where the board owner checks off the content and approves whether it is going to allow it to be promoted or not. As you can see, this one has a slightly higher cost per click, but you'll reach more people for 1,000 people spent as an average. You can see the expected audience by day and some general sort of information on the board. So if we want that one, we're going to add this board to our selection. Click on continue. Save and close. And there we go. So it says for this one board that we've chosen for our dollar spend, it's recommending that we add more dollars. So if we add, say, $10, it will say that our boards will spend an average of 0.78, but our budget only allows $32. So you can put this in much lower, you'll just get less plays, or you can increase your budget to something that is suitable. As you can see, we are getting closer. So based on our board selection, somewhere around about $30 a day is pretty suitable. And, you know, for $30 a day, the average for $1,000 was about 50,000 people. Suffering with math ability, but $30 a day should get us a couple thousand views. Our final step is to upload our artwork. Now, it's generally recommended that if you're going to be uploading professional artwork or videos, that you get someone that knows what they're doing to actually design and develop it. The main reason a lot of these boards are rejected is that they're low quality or not as suitable for advertising as they should be. So hire that graphic design, hire that video artist to design something custom for you. If you do have audio enabled, get a voiceover artist to actually do it. So you upload your artwork, then the final step after that is that it gets reviewed and gets approved. If it gets denied, you'll get a nice little email explaining why, and give you the opportunity to update your design. So there has been a few different ways that you can reach customers without doing social media. We've covered Google My Business just to get you up there on search results. We've talked about AdWords and a few of the different ways that you can do it. We've talked about advertising on apps, including swiping right on Tinder. And we've talked about buying ads on digital billboards. So there's definitely lots of opportunities to get your business out there without using social media. I've been leading Fahey for Business Station and AusIndustry under the Digital Solutions Program. This has been your workshop on learning how to reach customers who aren't online, marketing your business online without social media. If you want to learn more, you can always scan this QR code here. This will take you to our Business Station website, where you can sign up for a digital solutions program, where you can get direct advice on how to help your business. Good luck and enjoy the rest of the year. I'll see you in 2022.